WildC.A.T.s issue 2, Matthew Rosenberg with Steven Segovia on art. So we get a lot of new characters to us. Yes. Obviously, they're not new no. In general, but
so I had to remember where we left off at, and it was Grifter and Zealot had gone off to rescue Fairchild, right? And that's where we pick right back up.
And they were trying to get a scientist, but Grifter shot him. So
right.
And the cliffhanger was them landing next to the Court Owls, which is where we pick off. And there's action, there's chaos. They have no idea who the Court Owls are.
He keeps calling them a cult, which I like. I will say the high point of this is Rosenberg's writing, and not just like the way that it's set up as a story. The dialogue and the descriptions and everything, I feel like it's kind of like what people try to sell me Deadpool as, where like his Grifter is so just like off the cuff, making these random observations that these all really land though. So it is a joy to read, even if I don't know what's really going on.
There's stuff where he's telling the nurse in the hospital, that he's basically describing the plot of DC versus Vampires, and she's not buying it. But as she's walking out, she says, "Thanks for saving our universe, Batman."
Yeah.
Like, all right, so he's been telling stories, and then there's another bit later where was it Deathblow? I think the name is. Like he's got a new body, and it's a female body, and his inner monologue says, "Oh, Deathblow is kind of hot now. I'm going to have to try and make sure he doesn't get killed." And then there's just a second narration box saying, "I swear those two were separate thoughts."
those are two separate thoughts, I promise. Yeah. So like Rosenberg's like stuff for Grifter is very good, and even when we start getting into the more businessy side of things, it's just written in such a way where the person talking is has so much like disdain for the people they're talking to. It really.
Oh yeah, their boss, Marlowe. Yeah. But he's like answering to other people. They're having this meeting where Mrs. Freeze is there, and things aren't going as planned. And part of it's because they don't have this new scientist. But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on though, because he goes to Voodoo to like check out where this fight took place at the start. This fight where the Court Owls were there and Green Arrow was there. It takes Voodoo to like go and like look at the crime scene and try and see if they can figure anything out. Whilst Marlowe, someone tries to kill him, and the others have to step in, and Zealot ends up like having this action scene where she fights a bunch of guys out in the road in a red dress, and like Segovia's art's pretty solid, I would say. I kind of like the expressions on the characters' faces and the general inkiness to the line work. I quite like that. But then the news pops up and basically paints them as criminals, and this is where Marlowe makes the choice that we're going to have to go public, and he reveals at the end of the issue the 7 Soldiers of Victory in a press conference, which is not the WildC.A.T.s team.
No.
Of course I noticed. So I was very confused by this last page. I'm not sure what's going on. But...
Yeah, so I recognize Maul, who's the big Hulk-looking purple and green dude.
Sure.
I remember he was in WildC.A.T.s, and then we got Grifter in the front looking like a Deathstroke Deadpool ripoff, and then it looks like Zealot's there also, because I can tell by the markings on the face, but I don't know who anybody else is on this page. And then to call them the 7 Soldiers of Victory on top of it, I got very confused, but in a good way. To where I'm like, what is going on? And the guy that tried to kill Marlowe, right? The way that Marlowe goes on about it, he's like, yeah, I did too much, and now they're trying to take me out. And from what I kind of know about WildC.A.T.s from back in the beginning, because I did a little research when reading the Grifter book, is that everything about the WildC.A.T.s comes down to a war between aliens and another group, right? You have Halo and the WildC.A.T.s and the Daemonites. So who knows who Marlowe is working for, but I feel like there's a higher up that was trying to make him pay for his failure here. And now this is his big gamble. So we'll see how many of these characters make it out. But I definitely feel like Grifter and Zealot are still the stars here.
It feels like there's a couple of red shirts for sure.
Big time.
To take some hits here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's surprisingly easy to read, even though I don't really have much attachment to any of this property or characters, or really fully understand what's going on exactly. But you know, I didn't have a bad time. Like,
no, and also seeing these characters interact with the greater DCU, right? So like on this board at Halo, you have Professor Ivo, right, who created Amazo, and he talks about his work with Dr. Morrow, who's the creator of the Metal Men. Just to see them interacting with these Wildstorm characters.
Oh yeah,
cool.
One of them accuses him of having sex with robots. That's right.
Yeah, and he doesn't deny.
Like, what's the point of making robots if you can't have sex with them? What's the point of that?
It doesn't feel like they're also being wedged in, because they still feel like they're on the periphery. They keep talking about the Archer, Green Arrow. How he doesn't have superpowers. It's like, well, he has to. He rolls around with the Justice League. There's got to be something about him. So again, it just feels like it's on the periphery, but it is an enjoyable read. And I say that, like, I don't want to say begrudgingly, but this is a book that I was like, nah, Wildcats. But after the the Grifter story in what's that, Gotham, whatever.
Urban Legends.
There you go, Urban Legends. I always want to call it Gotham Underground for whatever reason, but yeah, in Urban Legends, I was like, okay, it seems like Rosenberg really likes these characters, and with that love, hopefully it comes through, and I think that it has. So
no, I think it mostly has too. It's enjoyable enough to read, and I think the other benefit it has going for it, as long as it stays enjoyable to read, is that it's also a little different from most other DC books, because it's this. Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're a team of people who have abilities, kind of, but they're more like a. I guess the closest thing it is to concept-wise is kind of Suicide Squad-y, but it's got its own kind of voice, and I've enjoyed the 2 issues I've read so far, so I'll be back for issue 3.
Yeah, for sure. As long as Rosenberg keeps writing it, I'll keep picking it up. Just because he brings that little spin to it. Also, the guy that saves Marlowe at the party, that's the android guy, right? That they were talking about, they were working on in the beginning.
I think so.
In the first issue, I feel like he's gonna have a bigger role going forward, because I felt how prime he was. So, it feels like it's definitely a team coming together still. But yeah, I got stumped by the 7 soldiers. I was like, when they're getting ready for the reveal, I'm getting ready to see the Wildcats I remember from posters in the 90s, and I was like, outside the big green and purple dude, I don't know much who these other guys are. So that was a nice curveball.
But I think it's interesting as a concept going forward, that they're going public, quote unquote, but they're hiding who they really are for whatever reason. Whether that's because they think it's a security risk to actually let people know who they are, or if it's because they've done enough bad things that they just can't let them know that they're the Wildcats, because Grifter and Zealot are too wanted for various crimes that they can't. I don't know. Maybe it's a public perception thing, or maybe the 7 soldiers are picked intentionally to lure out someone. I don't know, but there's a lot of plays. So yeah, what are you giving Wildcats issue 2?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I'll agree with that.
It's just a solid fun read too. So